My husband's always pulling out recipes from our local paper that he thinks might intrigue me, and this one definitely did. This is an adaptation of Chef Christy Brown's stellar soup from the Communion restaurant up in Seattle. Initially, I was intrigued to make the soup because of its nutritional balance and its versatility for any type of diet. It actually started out as a vegan recipe, but can be adapted and readapted to suit all dietary preferences. It's also one of those recipes that can be adapted to the season. It's perfect chilled in the summer or served warm and comforting in the winter. Now that I've gotten you excited about making this recipe, how is it at all relevant to skincare? Well, glowing skin starts with nutrition, as we well know. What we eat and how we sleep is reflected in our skin. It's so important to feed our soul as well as our skin, and for me, this soup just does it all. Its nutritional balance and great nourishing ingredients just feed my body from the inside out. So let's cook up some soup for the skin lover's soul. What's great about this recipe is you probably already have a lot of the ingredients in your refrigerator or in your cupboard. I'm going to give you the basic set of ingredients, but feel free to adapt to your taste along the way. Pretty much the only non-negotiable in this recipe are the 6 medium ears of fresh sweet corn. You're going to want several ribs of celery, a couple medium carrots, a half of a yellow onion. It also calls for a medium red onion. However, I find red onion to be a little bit too much of a strong flavor in this particular soup. If you want to use red onion, my tip is to soak the slices in some water for 5 or 10 minutes, pat them dry, and then use them in the recipe. For seasoning, you're going to want to gather 4 fresh bay leaves or 2 dried, some coriander, cumin, and cayenne pepper. I also like to add in a bit of turmeric here for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. All these spices can be adjusted to taste. If you're in a pinch for time, you can use store-bought stock and frozen white sweet corn. However, I'm going to go through how I make stock from scratch today. You can choose to add in additional protein. I'm going to be using a couple pre-cooked chicken breasts. You can also add in tofu, chickpeas, any protein of your choice, or just skip it all together. I believe the original recipe called for salmon. You'll want to have on hand some high-quality extra virgin olive oil, a few tablespoons of flour, a large potato, a small to medium sweet potato, and a cup of either unsweetened oat milk creamer or oat milk. Here I've substituted a cup of half and half to give it a more rich flavor. For the garnish, you can either use snipped parsley, chives, or green onion. The first thing you're going to want to do is shuck your corn and wash all the silk off. I remember as a child this was my job in the kitchen. I was my mom's prep chef as I diced up all of the vegetables or made a salad before dinner, and I definitely got lessons on how to get the silk out of the corn cobs. Once you have the corn cleaned and shucked, it's time to start slicing and dicing. You're going to slice one of the carrots and ribs of celery, then you're going to dice up the onions and the potatoes. With the boring chopping done, take each ear of corn on its butt end and stand it up on a tray or the bottom of a large shallow bowl. Use a really sharp knife and carefully cut off the kernels, reserving the cob and of course the kernels. Now take your corn cobs and break them in half and place them in a 4-quart pot along with the whole carrot and your ribs of celery. Break everything up as needed so it fits in the pot. Add the yellow half onion, the fresh bay leaves, a bit of salt, and white pepper. Add water to almost cover about 4 to 6 cups. To give my soup a little more flavor and to add a bit of protein, I decided to add chicken stock to my pot instead of water. You could also substitute bone broth or vegetable broth. Bring your pot to a boil, give a stir, and then reduce the heat to simmer for about 30 minutes, stirring about halfway through. While my pot was boiling, I decided to assemble a really easy, delicious, and nutritious appetizer. This one's for my mom. Fresh mozzarella balls, cherry tomatoes, and a toothpick. What could be easier? And simple and delicious. Then remove it from the heat and let it stand. Over medium heat, heat the olive oil for a minute or two in a large soup pot or a Dutch oven. Add the diced yellow onions, diced carrots, diced celery, salt, pepper, and stir and cook for about 6 or 8 minutes. Stirring about every 2 minutes so that it doesn't stick. Sprinkle on flour, stirring another 1 to 2 minutes, and then remove from heat. Now it's time to carefully strain your stock through a colander into a large bowl. To your large pot of simmered vegetables, you're going to add the potato, the sweet potato, a teaspoon of salt, a sprinkle of white pepper, your bay leaves. Cover it all with enough of the strained stock. Then bring it to a boil, reduce to a simmer, stirring about every 5 minutes, and cook for about 15 until the potatoes are tender. Then you're going to add the oat milk or your half and half, the corn, the spices, and then stir. Season lightly with salt and pepper to taste. Turn up the heat once again and bring the soup back to bubbling. Then reduce heat and simmer and cook for about 15 more minutes. After that point, you can check for taste and flavor and add more water or stock if it seems to be getting too thick. Then you're going to turn the heat back down and cook for about 15 more minutes. At this point, the chowder should be thickened and ready to serve. One of my favorite ways to garnish this soup is with a few slices of avocado and some spring onion. Avocados are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, the good kinds of fat that are great for our skin and our health. Bon appetit!